Speaking with Larry Keane, the National Shooting Sports Foundation. Larry, thanks for being with us. You penned an op-ed, "Read My Lips, No New Ammunition Taxes," on the NSSF blog. Tell us, sir, what were you saying? What's it all about?
Well, we had another. We seem to be in a time machine. I think lately we keep seeing these old gun control proposals being rehashed and resurrected again and again, and now the latest is this notion that the way to solve gun crime is to impose exorbitant taxes on ammunition, so that, of course, people would not be able to afford to buy ammunition. And this is a proposal that goes back to the days of Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan from New York, and so it's now being recycled in the in surprise, surprise, the New York Times. So, and we. It just these things keep coming back up. We need to ban assault weapons. We need to reinstate ammunition logs because that's going to solve crime and prevent gun violence. When we did that from 1968 to 1986, and ATF itself testified before Congress that these ammunition logs that retailers were required to keep, who they sold ammunition to, is not a useful tool, did not help reduce crime, and they were okay with getting rid of that requirement, which is in the Gun Control Act as it was originally passed back in 1968. So as I say, it feels a little bit like we're in some sort of time machine, and we're recycling all of these old ideas. It kind of reminds me actually of Hollywood, and it seems to me that Hollywood hasn't come up with an original idea in a long time.
Isn't that the truth?
And they just keep making movies about TV shows I watched as a kid, or
or sequel after sequel.
That's right, or the umpteenth version of a Batman movie, or even when I took one of my kids to go see the Spider-Man movie, and I thought it was like part of the series, and then the next iteration of, and I didn't realize it was like the original Batman movie. I'm like, didn't this just come out like 3 years ago?
Yeah. And so what I like to call it is sort of like retread legislation. We've seen these ideas before. They didn't work. So why? What's your take on this? Why? I mean, and my take is not to answer your question, but is it just basically we have no other ideas left. We tried legislation. We went to the courts. It didn't work, so we're back at the legislative trying to rerun the same stuff. What do you think's going on here?
I think that's exactly it. They don't have any new ideas because what they've tried hasn't worked. What they've tried won't work. What they want to do won't work. And I think we're hopefully at the end of this failed social experiment called gun control. And I think increasingly the American public realizes and has come to understand what we have been saying all along, is that if you impose gun control, you're only impacting the law-abiding, and that the criminal is not going to obey the law. It's sort of definitional, and it will not accomplish anything, which is why public support for gun control is dropping, and it's its lowest level since they started polling on the question, which is why when the Center for the CDC did a study of some 50 gun control measures, they were unable to establish that a single one of them reduced crime or reduced gun violence.
So, Larry,
because the problem isn't the product, and it isn't the lawful commerce, and it isn't the lawful exercise of the Second Amendment that's a problem. It's the conduct of criminals, and there are a lot of complex reasons for why we have crime, but and you need to address those issues, not trying to prevent individuals from exercising their Second Amendment rights.
We're speaking with Larry Keane with the National Shooting Sports Foundation. And Larry, lately, and I'll ask Cameron to jump in on this one too, there's been, you showed me some stuff, the Brady, to show kind of an example of this, the Brady campaign has making some crazy statements lately as far as like things about stuff that's happening and reactions to shootings and stuff. It's getting weird out there. Like this is a failed experiment. Like where do they go next? They've got nothing left.
All that is old is new again. It's we're like in the Wayback Machine, But next we'll see claims for people wanting tagnets, and I don't know what they're going to come up with next, but it's not going to do anything to reduce crime. There is no support for this in the American public. Firearms ownership is its highest level it's ever been. There are now 100 million firearms owners in the United States. Clearly, roughly half of the households in the United States own a firearm. It's probably actually higher than that. And crime, meanwhile, is falling. Now, you have situations where, Chicago, for example, unfortunately is experiencing a lot of violence. But it's not caused by the lawful commerce in firearms. There are other very complex social issues at play that but at the end of the day, people are responsible for their own actions, and if someone commits a crime, they need to pay the consequences, particularly if they use a firearm.
Larry, let me ask you a question related to ammunition. There has been, I know you're on Twitter, I see you tweet a lot, L. Keen is your Twitter handle. A lot of talk on Twitter and on the social networks. A lot of people concerned about federal agencies buying all these rounds of ammo, and sometimes it gets a little alarmist, and sometimes you get some conspiracy theories going. The NRA-ILA put out a statement, and the title was "Federal Law Enforcement Agencies Buy Ammunition," and just talking about the internet rumor mill. It says much of the concern stems from a lack of understanding that law enforcement functions carried out by officers in small federal agencies. These agents have the power to make and arrest and execute warrants, just like their better-known counterparts at agencies like the FBI. So you see these stories, why is the Social Security Administration buying ammunition? Why is NOAA buying ammunition? NRA put out this statement. At the end of it, it says, as most gun owners will agree, skepticism of government is healthy, but today there are more than enough actual threats to the Second Amendment to keep gun owners busy. With two key Supreme Court decisions hanging by a one-vote margin, the Justice Department deeply involved in a cover-up of a disastrous Mexican gun smuggling operation, and President Obama touting a ban on popular semi-automatic firearms, there's no need to invent additional threats to our rights. What are you at NSSF seeing? I'm sure you're seeing the same thing.
Well, we've seen those stories as well, and we actually just check with our major ammunition manufacturers to see if there was anything going on, and we can say that there's nothing going on. There's no massive increase in the number of requests from federal agencies to buy ammunition. I mean, there is the one large RFP from Homeland, but they have many different agencies that fall within the Department of Homeland Security. It would not impact industry capacity to meet demand, which obviously is very high across the board. And what has happened is somebody has kind of stumbled upon something, shown a spotlight on it, and magnified it to make it appear that there was something afoot, when in reality it's really not abnormal at all. And there are lots and lots of federal law enforcement officers, special agents assigned or as part of many government agencies, not just the ones you hear about in the newspaper all the time, FBI, ATF, et cetera. So I mean, there are for example, the Department of Commerce has special agents assigned to it who are employees of the Department of Commerce, and the same is true of many other agencies. So the fact that the Social Security Administration is buying ammunition is not at all surprising.
All right, so if you're listening or you're watching us and you've heard the stories and you seem concerned, you've now heard it from the NRA and the NSSF. No need to panic.
There's no there.
There's no there, exactly.
And from Larry Keen himself.
Yeah, so I think we're good.
Larry, how can folks get more information about the great work you guys do at NSSF every day?
Well, the easiest way, of course, is to come visit our website, nssf.org. And if you're a Facebooker, or whatever the term is, we have a Facebook page. Is a great way to get information. You can follow us on our Twitter feeds. NSSF is a feed. I tweet myself. And you can also go to our, for information related to the election, which I think is very topical. We have a tweeter, hashtag #gunvote, and we have a page set up for, gunvote.org. And you can also sign up to receive our weekly electronic newsletter called Bullet Points if you just come to the NSSF website. you can sign up there, and then we always have information being posted on various issues, not just the political or government relations type issues, but also lots of information for hunters and shooters, and where to hunt and where to shoot, and Wing Shooting USA, and many other resources for the hunter and the shooter, as well as lots of safety information. Not surprisingly, the industry thinks firearms safety is critically important, as of course does NRA, and both organizations do a lot to make sure that we educate folks about the importance of firearm safety education. So lots of information there on safety initiatives. So there are the usual sort of ways that you get information today through social media. We have a number of YouTube videos up that are really excellent resources for people to learn different aspects of shooting or hunting, and also even how to cook game once you harvest it.
Nice.
One-stop shop. Lots of resources.
Yeah. Very good. So and I got to say, not to denigrate the social media, Larry or Cameron, but when I see Larry Keane, he usually doesn't have a smartphone in his hand. He has a firearm in his hand. Last time I saw him, he had a shotgun in his hand out there at the range at the day at the range. So
I'm trying to figure out how I can put an iPhone in the buttstock. So.
There you go. Nice. Excellent, Larry Keane.
Thanks, Larry.
People will think that was an RFID tag, and it was
very good. A smart gun.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, let's not go there.
No, we're back in the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Larry Keane. Thanks for being here on NRA News, Cam and Company. Thank you, sir.